Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the new school year. First of all, I want to say that I hope that you enjoyed your summer, you had a restful summer and a relaxing summer, and that you have made time to make special memories with your family. That's super, super important during this time. And as you know, we hope to have our rally in person this year at Southeastern, but we heard your voice of concern and we made adjustments according to that. So we're having our virtual rally today, and we hope that it's just as good as the in-person rally. Thank you for your input, and we're very thankful that you feel comfortable in voicing your concerns to us. And I want you to know that we hear and we listen to your input in a lot of different areas. Speaking of which, when we developed our strategic plan, we listened to your input. We did surveys and focus groups and one-to-one interviews with parents and students and employees, and we developed our strategic plan based on your input. So in some really degree, it's the people's plan. We have priority areas that are identified that you can see, and also on our website you can see the full plan, the full strategic plan for our school district. And I encourage you to take a look at that. As we move into this year, of course, we're going to continue to practice the protocols that we have in place, that we practiced all last school year, so that we keep our employees safe and healthy, as well as our students. And we will listen to the medical professionals in this area, and we will listen to learn how we can better keep ourselves safe as we move into the school year. But let's keep the main thing the main thing. As educators, we are here to educate children, and the main thing that we're charged to do is to ensure that every single child graduates high school and is prepared for life after high school. We want them to be successful in securing a high-wage, high-demand job after they finish our public school system. And we can do this together. We're committed to excellence, and we can do this task of the main thing of making sure that all of our students graduate. It starts with pre-K and early childhood, and every single teacher in every single grade and subject contributes to this overarching goal of ensuring that kids graduate, they're ready for life, they can secure high-wage demand jobs, and they can be productive citizens of our parish. As we move into this next school year, I wish you the best, and we will support you along the way. We will, as we did last year, learn to pivot and make adjustments as we move throughout the school year based on the latest guidance of our health professionals and those that are monitoring the cases across this parish and the state. So thank you for all that you do. Have a great year. Thank you.
Recording, all right. Well, good day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be and however you may be. I'm so glad that you're with me. My name is Mickey Smith Jr. And I got to be honest with you. You know, folks talk about credentials and stats and all this stuff, and a lot of folks get excited when they hear about things like the Grammy Award that I was blessed and honored to receive. And being a teacher of the year multiple times. But I got to be honest with you. If I can tell you something, I don't actually teach music. I teach children. And when we understand that what we do is greater than what we do, it's what we can be for them, then that not only energizes the classroom, but it uplifts us too, because it brings a level of awareness of who we are and most importantly, what we can be for others. I'm telling you that, not that there's anything special about me, because there's nothing special about me, but there is something significant about me. And the good news is that we all have a significance. We all have a unique personal significance that we bring into this thing called life, into this thing called the classroom. And whether you are a teacher or an administrator, a cafeteria worker, a custodian, a bus driver, the truth of the matter is we're all teachers. We're all, as I say, educators, sound 180 educators. That means you're that individual that creates a sound school year, a sound 180 days of classroom instruction, because you don't just teach. If you do it well, you reach. You don't just instruct if you do it with that grace, if you do it with that compassion, if you do it with the courage that we talk about. You don't just instruct, you inspire. So my question today to you is, what's your sound? Now somebody said, Mickey, what does that even mean? I don't play an instrument. I see you holding the saxophone, and I'm going to give you a little music in a second, but I need you to understand that each and every one of us has a sound. The sound is not the audible, it's the internal. It's that unique personal significance that we talked about. Now, your sound may simply be your smile. It may be the spirit or the energy that you have when you walk into a room. It may be your way of being interpersonal with others. It may be a gifting or a skill set that you have that adds value to others. But the fact of the matter is each and every one of us has an ability to add value to individuals and ultimately to this thing called life. And that is the mark of a great educator. Today, I'm speaking to the noble profession, but I'm really speaking not to an audience, but I'm speaking to a symphony, because each and every one of us has a sound, and collectively, when we work together, our sound makes this thing called life a better experience. If you don't believe me, go check out the marching band. Tubas don't fight with flutes, right? But they work together. And today, I want you to hear me. I'm going to say things to you, and it's going to be with a spirit of love. I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad about you today. Why? Because Lily Mae Smith, my grandmother, used to always tell me, teaching is a noble profession. And when you're 10, what does that even mean? Is that like a knight in shining armor? I didn't know what was a noble profession, right? And I'm telling you this because this woman had such a wisdom. She only had a third grade education, born in 1910. You know, she didn't have a lot of opportunities. Matter of fact, I didn't really appreciate my grandmother growing up. I thought she was mean. And let's not get it twisted. She was, okay? By her own account, if you talk to her, she would tell you, if you said, describe yourself, she would say, I'm stern and I'm firm. I say, who describes themselves like that? Lily Mae Smith did. And I'm telling you that today because that woman was born in a time that, I don't want to say it hardened her, but it made her resilient. See, I used to think grandma was mean, but then she'd make me cut that grass, and you cut the grass with the push lawnmower, and she'd say, here's $1.25. And she put some sass on it too. I'm like, I'm not that old. Like $1.25, like, I need you to catch up with the times. That's nothing. You know, you'd ask her for a stick of gum. She'd go, here's half now, and you might get half later. I said, a stick of gum? How cheap you got to be not to give me a stick of gum? That's like 2.5 cents, right? But she wouldn't. And I didn't understand at the time, but as I went to a little thing called school, and I studied a little thing called history, I understood that grandmother was the grandchild of slaves. I understood that grandmother grew up in a time where women didn't have the opportunities and the rights. And if they wanted to do something, they had to maximize the little opportunities they had. She couldn't vote when she was born. She didn't matter. And then on top of not really mattering, then her whole world was turned upside down. They had this thing called the Great Depression. She lived through a world war. She was part of that greatest generation. And it's so amazing. We say the greatest generation, but why was it great? Because it went through a little something. And not just going through something, that doesn't make you great. It's the going through or going to something. They went through something, but they ultimately went to something. They went to a greater version of themselves. That's why when I look at these things that we're going through right now and I look at the situation we're in, I get excited. Somebody said, Mickey, you think you done lost your mind. How can you be excited about this school year? 2 weeks ago, we thought the world was back, and now Chicken Little, the sky is falling again. How in the world can you be so smug and say things are amazing? Because they are. Because I learned something a while ago that sometimes the sound is not always what you hear. I need you to understand, Lily Mae Smith bought me my first saxophone. We didn't have a lot. We grew up in a small rural setting, a little town called Mossville, started by free slaves, maybe only a few, I'm being generous, maybe a few thousand people, probably more. You know, sometimes they got these towns, they say it's a one street light town. Ours was a one stop sign town. Like we didn't even have the post office, right? So it was a little town. And I'm telling you this because in that little town where we had my grandmother spent a lot. That woman who wouldn't even give me a whole stick of gum went out and spent $400 of her own money and bought this little boy an old beat up saxophone. But I thought it was gold. I thought it was priceless because I'd never seen anything like it. And I got to be honest with you. I put that horn to my lips and my first sound was amazing. Come on, y'all know. That kind of stuff happens in the movies. That sound was amazingly terrible. It was bad. Matter of fact, it was so bad that my mother was there. My mom was there. Mama said, hey, son, I see something special in you. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know this. If you keep on going, you'll be successful. I know. Right now, you're going, oh, that's so sweet. My mom is sweet, but not in that moment. See, when she said that, she literally said, I see something special in you. I don't know what it is, but if you keep on going outside, take that noise outside. If you keep on going, you'll be successful. They kicked me out the house. Now, there's folks out here right now that know exactly what I'm talking about because as a middle school band director, as somebody who is charged over the midget mafia, and making sure that they can make those musical sounds, you understand that there are days you just want to tell those kids, keep on going. So I don't judge mama. I get it. And I went outside and I put that horn to my lips. Mama stuck her head out the door. She said, hey boy, keep on going. I said, Mama, that's the driveway. She said, I know, go. There started my musical journey. And I began to walk down the driveway and I got all the way to the end of the driveway. Because again, we're in a rural setting. Okay. So we had a pretty good sized driveway. I get all the way to the end. I put the horn to my lips. My mom, this is before text message. This is before cell phone. My mom stuck her head out the window. She said, hey, keep on going. I say, Mama, that's the woods across the street. She said, I know, go. True story. My mom sent me across the street and into the woods. Now, look. We're in Louisiana, but there may be some transplants here. Folks that come from other places, maybe a little bit more sophisticated. The woods just means the forest, okay? So she sent me out there to the woods and the forest next to a little gully, a little stream. And that became my practice room. And I would begin to work my sound out. And as I would play, I'd get so frustrated, like many of us are right now. Because I anticipated, I expected that this thing would move a little bit quicker, that things would come into play a little bit better, but it just, so frustrating to the point where I had to start encouraging myself. So I began to tell myself crazy things like this. Keep on going. See, I'm gonna get you to help me too, because sometimes we say things, but man, it feels so good when you hear it back. So wherever you may be, I'm going to ask you every time I play, when I point, if you could just help me and just say back as big as you can, keep on going. Now, they may laugh at you. You may be in the kitchen, right? You might be in the living room watching. You might be in the classroom. We ain't worried about that. It's just me and you. They're not going to hear you anyway, all right? So I want you to shout it back. Keep on going. Matter of fact, let's try it real quick. Let's try it. Wherever you're at, real quick. Ready, go. Keep on going. Boy, y'all sound good. Good. So here we go. Keep on going. Oh, man, but I tried it yesterday.
Keep on going.
Oh man, but it's not getting any better.
Keep on
oh, but I tried it 3 times already.
Keep on going.
See, sometimes You just have to keep on going, because the next step can be the best step, and the next sound can be the best sound. But you forfeit the opportunity to experience that and to be sound when you make the loss a loss. But really, the loss is just a lesson. And there's really no mistakes. There's only missed takes, missed opportunities. And now more than ever, if we don't position ourselves to do like Mama say and keep on going, we can find ourselves forfeiting the greatest opportunity ever. And that is to pour into the lives of these young people. Somebody said, Mick, you just being optimistic. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you are too. Because I believe that being an educator is the greatest act of optimism that anyone can show. Because you are literally going into a place where you can't see the sound. Somebody say, there you go again with the, you can't, yes, you can see sound, because sound is not the audible. Sound is that significance that we find, that we look for, that we recognize in each child that's represented, in each life that's represented, in each household. See, my life changed as a teacher when I had children. When me and my wife had children, all of a sudden, I didn't see them the same way. They stopped being students and they began to be someone's child. Particularly those children that were someone's child and maybe that person wasn't stepping up to the plate. I felt that responsibility to show them that they were loved, valued, and wanted. I felt that responsibility to help them understand that this thing called the subject matter is just a really fancy way of showing you that you matter. And it became my charge to be creative in that classroom and look for ways to show them the relevancy. Why? Because sometimes we can't see the significance. Just like they say, you can't see the forest for the trees. Sometimes we miss the significance for the woods, the coulds and the shoulds. We can't control those things we can't control, but what we can do is be the best version of ourselves each and every day. And as I was in those woods, I learned an incredible lesson. That even though right now many of us feel socially distant and we feel isolated and forgotten, I think about that little fella, little Mickey, in those woods. And I remember that that time of isolation was actually a stage for elevation. The craft got better. And now I stand in a season of celebration. But I need to tell you, if you got in a time machine and look back then, wasn't nobody clapping. Except maybe the birds and the squirrels that I pretended they were applauding when I was in the woods. But the truth was nobody was there. Now, when I share that story with my students, that's so important. I share that story each and every year because my kids think when they look at me, they say, he don't know. He was born this way. Look at him. He's amazing. He plays the saxophone. He has a great smile. He has a great grade of hair. Okay, well, maybe not the hair thing, right? But they think that it just happened overnight. But I show them through this story that there's no such thing as overnight success, just over life success. And that success is only attained when you make the decision to keep on going. Because you can turn noise into a beautiful sound. I couldn't help but notice when I came in here that the vision statement right here says, committed to excellence. Well, I need you to understand something right now. Nothing has changed about that. That even though our world seems to be topsy-turvy right now, the excellence point has not changed. Matter of fact, I would even say that the things that are going on right now are not the sound. They're the noise. And if you think about this, noise just means nothing of importance stops excellence. When you have that mindset that this is just noise, if I keep on going, it's going to be sound again. And not only can you create a culture and a climate in your classroom for success, but you position yourself to be your absolute best. You position yourself to be that sound adult. Why is that important? Because every child is one sound adult away from discovering their sound of success. I know that because I was in the woods and they still didn't open up that door. Until one day I was lost in the process. And so many of us are looking at things. And it's all love today. I'm not here to put you on blast. I'm not here to make you feel any kind of way. I'm not here to teach or even to preach, but just to remind you that you have a sound. And the more we can get lost in our sound and our purpose in this thing called teaching, the sweeter and the more beautiful it becomes, because no one can take away your sound, but you do have the ability to give your sound away. And whatever you do, don't relinquish your sound, because our sound is what gives us a significance. I began to be lost in the sound of the sax. I was out there playing. At this point, I wasn't even practicing anymore. My students say, Mr. Smith, how many minutes did you practice a day? I don't know. My favorite book says that we are to meditate and think on things without ceasing, right? And in this case, I used to practice without ceasing. It was just what I did. I got up in the morning, I shot basketball, I played the saxophone, shot basketball. It was just what I did. It was a natural extension of who I am. And so many of us, your classroom is just a natural extension of who you are. Some of you go on family vacations and you are teaching children and probably redirecting them in truck stops and in restaurants. It's just, we're the teacher. You can't take the teacher out of us, nor should you. My question today is, when's the last time you fell in love with what you do? Find ways to be renewed by the profession. It's not about the to-do list, it's about the to-be list each and every day. Because to be or not to be, that's the answer. What's your being? Think about it. No one ever said human doings. But the doing is what can break us down. But when we reside in our being, then that's when we become the best version, not just for ourselves, but for these kids. See, I was lost. I was just being that saxophone player. And one day my dad came home. He was a longshoreman. He worked at the docks. He did that hard work. And he came home and he walked by me. And so the story goes, he walks in the house and he and my mom have a conversation and goes, "Do you hear him?" That's what my mom said. Now keep in mind, this is the same woman that said, "Keep on going." She said, "Do you hear him?" My dad goes, "Yeah, I hear the boy. He never stops. He just keeps on going." She said, "No, shh, listen. He actually sounds good." I didn't know that happened. But watch this. Most decisions made about us in life will happen when we're not in the room. It's just our job to keep on going and be who we were supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, guys, you may not like the way things are, but coming from Louisiana, I done been through a few storms. But I've never seen a storm so big that if I didn't just keep driving through, I didn't come out on the other side. And the truth of the matter is, this is a monumental storm. This is an unprecedented storm. But it's still just a storm. And this too shall pass. But we have to make the mindset that we won't be distracted by the noise in the room, but we will create a sound atmosphere in the room. Today, hey, from Louisiana to you, I'm telling you right now, in the middle of the summer, I don't need a thermometer. You can keep that bad boy. But in the house, I need a thermostat. Give me a thermostat all day. And I'm here to tell you today that you are not a thermometer. You are a thermostat. Matter of fact, you're a weather person. You determine the weather. Whether or not something is totally in our control, because we can dictate a culture and a climate that says, despite everything, we will be excellent. Despite everything, we will continue to serve our stakeholders and our community, and most importantly, our future, these children. Because at the end of the day, they didn't ask for this any more than we did. So somebody has to make that choice. I always laugh when I work with teachers and they say, "Man, the children are being childish today." It's so funny when you say stuff out loud. So my question to them in love is, but are we being adultish? Are we being adultish? It's tough. Adulting is not fun. I will testify to that one. Adulting is, they didn't tell us everything. If they would have told us the whole story, I would have been like, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid, right? Right? But we're here now. And I hadn't figured out a way to go back. Now, if you know the way to go back, call me, okay? info@mickysmithjr.com. Just send me the email. We're going to go back together because I got some sweet years back there I want to go back and revisit. But in the meantime, I'm going to make this as sweet as I can. And I want to challenge you too, because when those parents of mine were in that house, something amazing happened. Now, I'm telling you this because a couple years back, I was on the Grammys and a pivotal moment happened, something amazing, something that was unplanned, unprecedented. I'm only the 7th person to receive the Grammy Music Educator of the Year award. And in the past, the recipient was always recognized from the stage. Just a little passerby type opportunity. No more was said about that. But on this occasion, in between the commercial breaks, they made an audible. Alicia Keys herself walked up to me, held my hand, and said these words, "We need you," and recognized me as the national winner. I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you that despite the credentials and accolades, I needed to hear more than anything We need you. And today, I want you to hear everything that's coming from me with love. I'm simply saying, we need your sound more than you recognize and realize. I'm saying we need you. Don't look to the left or the right. Keep the course. Keep on going. Because the noise is only there to distract from the destination, from your destiny. And I have to be honest with you. Most people get paralyzed in the potential of what can be, and few reach the promise. But the only way to go from potential to promise is down this little road. And I didn't name it, but it's perseverance. Perseverance pathway. I've never seen anything that was worth anything that came from doing no thing. So in this case, I want to challenge you to do everything that you can and be everything that you can be so that our children can do anything that's available to them. But that only comes from the hands of a sound adult in this thing called the noble profession. That woman told me, she said, we need you. And now I'm here today to let you know that we need you. She had no idea I needed to hear that. But as wonderful as that moment was, I can't say that it was the most pivotal moment in my life. I would say the most pivotal moment in my life was when my parents opened up that door and they said, come in, play for us. No, Mickey, you got to be kidding me. You won a Grammy. I don't know that I would have even won the Grammy had that moment had not happened. I'm telling you this because as a sixth grader, I was a C and D student that was bussed in from a community that had so little value that they bulldozed the whole place. I was in a school with folks that didn't look like me, that I didn't know. I was confused. I was told that I wasn't smart. I still have my report card. It said N for conduct. Music guy here. And it said talks too much. It said N, makes too much noise in class, distracting. It said N, draws too much, distracted. But thank goodness for Durlin Paul Ancelet. Mr. Ancelet, old military guy, geography teacher, didn't take no mess. But you know what? He also made you never settle for less than your best. And he looked at me and he said, wait a minute. In his own little Mr. Ancelet way, he said, that's not a deficiency. That's your destiny. Because now I get paid to talk too much. I get paid to make noise. And I get paid to draw too much. I'm an award-winning illustrator, and I have a book that I wrote that reflects the story that I shared with you called The Adventures of Little Mickey Keep On Going. That man saw my sound. And not just Mr. Ancelet, throughout my journey, there have been sound adults that saw my significance despite what was happening in the world around them. And now that I stand in this same place that they stood in front of students, I understand how powerful that was because they were going through life just like I was. Maybe in a greater way because they were adults with families and responsibilities. But yet, when I came into their room, I felt that I was the most important thing in that moment. I want to challenge you right now to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to think about that one teacher that made a significant difference in your life. You know, for some of you right now, it only took a second, maybe two. You can open your eyes. And if you're watching this, I want you to just write that name down for yourself. Or if you're viewing this maybe on a platform where you can do it in the chat, share the chat. Let's honor those individuals. Take a moment and recognize them. And if you may be watching this alone, you feel free to even say their name and speak it out loud. Share that sound of who that individual is. And I want to challenge you right now to think about this. When you reflected on that individual, you didn't think about a lesson plan. Oh, it's important. Do your lesson plan. I don't want to get you in trouble. But you didn't think about their classroom management strategy. Matter of fact, I'll say this, you didn't even really think about the subject that they taught. You thought about the way they made you feel. And I think the greatest travesty that we can exercise or even experience in this season is to become so distracted by the noise that we don't see the sound that's in front of us, that's next to us, that's calling on us. Mr. Smith. That's the most important thing, is the significance of those young people that we've been charged over. But it demands a focus and a commitment not just to excellence, but to their excellence. And we're the only ones that can provide that. That's why I call you the noble profession. I wish it paid more. I wish everybody could get celebrated next to Alicia Keys. I wish that. But you know what? I think in some powerful way, just like that open door meant so much to me, everyone is going to have their signature moment. But only if you keep on going. Mickey, you don't know anything about that. You've never struggled. Well, I haven't. I've been in schools where I've literally watched kids kill other kids. I've been in situations where I've been heartbroken. I've had to bury a child. I've been in situations where I've seen communities struggle in ways they shouldn't really have had to struggle. I've seen schools fight to keep their doors open as we fought a losing game. I've experienced the heartbreak. Matter of fact, so much so that just a few years before that Alicia Keys moment, I was in my dining room and I had made a decision. I said, I'm going to write my letter of resignation because I don't see where this is making a difference, and I definitely don't see where I can continue to grow from this. I don't think it's making a measurable impact. And I sat down at that dining room table. But before I began to pen my letter, I just happened to go to the mailbox that day. And I noticed I had 3 handwritten letters in the mail. And this was the real handwritten letters. Y'all ever gotten that junk mail where it looks like it's handwritten and it make you mad, huh? Because it's like, oh, you get excited, like, they got me again, right? No, but this was the real deal. And I sat down to read those letters. And I have to tell you, something amazing happened. I found out that there was an English teacher in our 12th grade high school that we feed into that makes an assignment for her students to write a letter of gratitude to the one most significant educator, custodian, principal, bus driver, you name it. One person, pre-K through 12th grade, one person in their school career that made the most impressionable impact in their life. 3 children wrote me a letter. The ironic part was not one of those children continued with band. You would think that when they thought about the most impactful person, that they would have continued with that subject. But that moment taught me something, that it's not just about the subject matter. It's about showing young people that they matter. And that's what stays with them in a powerful way. And I realized in that moment that my significance did not reside in what I taught, but it's what I shared. More than just the subject matter, more than the music, it was who they were with me that stuck with them. And as I read the letters, they were so significant, but there was one that stuck out in particular. There's a little girl, and I'll never forget this. In 8th grade, she was like that student. Everybody's got like that student that when they show up, like the class gets better. Like they got a great attitude. These are few and far between, right? Great attitude, they're exuberant, that you don't have to like correct them. Like she had it, right? And she was always the first person to show up to class, but she wasn't the first person today, which was odd because I saw her earlier that day and I knew she was on campus. All the kids that came in, and I greet my kids at the door. You know, I don't handshake. I was dapping. That was my thing, even before COVID. Like I don't do all that. But I would always say, good morning, welcome. You know, it's welcome to the band hall where all your dreams come true. You know, just anything to get them excited. You know, and they walk in, and on this day she walked up and her head was hung low. And I said, hey, I see you. And she kept her head down. Well, I'm not going to be outdone. So I got down really low, which I'm not going to try. That was years ago. So if I get down too low, I ain't going to get back up. I said, hey, Miss Jones, I see you. She looked up and smiled a little bit, put her head down, walked into the band hall, never said another word about it. Here I am, 4 years later, sitting at my dining room table, not contemplating resignation, writing the letter of resignation. I opened up the letters, and that last letter was from that little girl. She said, Mr. Smith, you were always so kind. You were always so thoughtful. You demanded the best from us. You pushed us, but you always did it with love. She says, I don't know if you know this or not, but I struggled as an 8th grader. How many of you know suicide is the second leading cause of death in our young people? That there are people that are struggling and fighting with silent battles, that if we don't see the sound, we could easily overlook it. I'm not saying that I was so in tune with her sound that I saw it, but she went on to say, there was one day I remember in your class more than anything. She said, on this particular day, I felt worthless. I felt I had no value. I felt invisible. And in that very moment, you said, I see you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never said, I see you before or since. I don't truly and fully know why I chose to say it that day. But I said, I see you. And that little girl remembered that, so much so that when she went to high school and she began to battle those thoughts and, nobody would even miss me if I was here. And no, there's one person. Mr. Smith said, I see you. And she expressed to me in that letter that those words carried her through. I shared that story at an event once, and a woman came up to me and she said, that story is amazing. She said, but I don't think you get it. I said, how can I not get it? It's my story. I get it. I was there, right? She said, no. She said, the most amazing part of that is understanding that when I read that letter, I tore up my letter of resignation. 4 years later, I'm sitting at the Grammys. A few years later, I'm sitting at the Grammys, and I'm hearing the words that I needed to hear. We need you. She had no idea how much I needed to hear that before, but that woman expressed to me, she said, the most powerful part of your story is this, that when that girl was at her lowest, your words were everything that she needed to keep on going. Little did you know that 4 years later, when you would be at your lowest, her words would come back to be everything that you needed to keep on going. I'm here today to tell you, especially to our folks that are new to the profession, don't judge the whole story according to a few chapters. You came in at a very interesting time. And if you've been teaching a few years, guess what? You like a first year teacher too, because none of us have faced anything like this. Matter of fact, if I go watch a movie, even the best movie in the world, it's got a few dull moments in it. They got that spot where you get up and go get the popcorn, right? And even the best book in the world has a few bad chapters in it. But that doesn't define the totality of what you experience. And when we talk about this thing called the noble profession, that woman, my grandmother back in 1910, who only had a third grade education because that's all she was allowed to have, enacted such a wisdom. She'd say stuff like, you're going to hear me now, but you're going to listen to me later. I'm listening, Lily Mae, because now I realize that her experience, although it was short, there was somebody she called a master teacher. I don't know this man's name because being a child, I didn't have the wisdom to ask more questions. She told me his name, but I'll be honest, I don't fully know his name. I don't remember it. I was 10. But that man was so significant in her life that this woman who lived to be 91 years old would speak of him with such regard that she would then say to a little boy who was a C&D student, you could be a teacher. Teaching's a noble profession. And that little boy, with the help of sound adults like Lily Mae and Mr. Ancelette, went from being a C&D student to 2 years later being Student of the Year. 4 years later being named Mr. Westlake. Receiving a music scholarship, being the first male in his family to graduate high school and the first in the family to go to college and now have multiple degrees. But I'm telling you this for this one reason, that the seed that was planted by that unknown educator, that master teacher, in 1920, when that little girl was 10, was so powerful that 100 years later, in 2020, her grandson would be on a national stage representing all of education, simply because of the words that she shared, that teaching is a noble profession. So I want to challenge you today to understand that in this year, in this season that we're in, I like to think of it as seed, time, harvest. Don't give up before you reach your harvest. Excuse me, I said that incorrectly. Seed, time. Harvest. There's no overnight success. There's only over life success. And I want to challenge you to find that seasoned veteran in the classroom that still has that fire and ask them those questions. Why are you still here? Few people ask those individuals what drives them. But I'll tell you right now, those individuals have a sense of purpose and passion that propels them from potential to the promise and helps them to persevere in such a way that not only do they see their sound each and every day, but they can position themselves to see the sound of those young people each and every day. You have that sound too. You have that same ability. Somebody said, Mickey, all that's great. I hear what you're saying. What can I do? Well, I didn't come to just give you a rah-rah speech. I want to encourage you, but I also want to give you application. So today, can I share with you just some simple things that you can do each and every day to be that sound adult? Because I got to be honest with you. If you watch a great classroom, if you watch a great teacher, there are so many things that they do that have no thing to do with what they do. If you come into my classroom, the most important things about my music classroom have nothing to do with music. They have everything to do with that child, everything to do with that classroom setup, everything to do with the engagement of them. But when we put the instruction before the individual, we lose the entire experience. And that instruction, that individual is important, but you are the most significant. The sound adult that you present yourself as, even when things are tough, can make all the difference in the world. I told that little girl, I see you. But it wasn't my words that said that. It was my actions and my deeds. Because you can con a con, you can fool a fool, but you can't kid a kid. You want to show me who somebody is? Let them come around my kids or be around other kids. Kids got that radar. So when you go into the classroom, I'm not saying you have to have all the answers. I just say you got to answer the call each and every day. You got to be about the business. I need you 180. Now, like pre-pandemic, BC, before COVID, you could be 100%, okay? You might even get by 80%. But now you got to be 180. Somebody said, Mickey, I don't have 180 in me. Watch this. I get it. Your cup is empty. You got it. You got the capacity. But how do you fill your cup? I want to share with you today 2 words that I say each and every morning. Somebody's going to laugh at me today, but I promise you this works. Regardless of how you feel, the first thing you say when you wake up in the morning, thank you. No, Mickey, but you don't understand. I bet you saw the Grammy. But what people didn't really understand that at my most visible, I was my most vulnerable. Prior to winning the Grammy, 7 funerals in 12 months. My mom lost all her sisters. I lost my sound adult, my cousin Lisa, who was the only reason I even did it one more time, because I lost 6 years in a row. I did it one more time because she told me to, because she saw something in me, because she was my sound adult. And I lost her just prior to winning. It's one of those things where you realize the significance of something when it's gone. And I never want anybody to experience absence in order to appreciate. So in this season, I want you to make a practice. Starting the day with gratitude. I get to do this. Matter of fact, somebody said, I don't believe it. Hey, if you act enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. Hey, and then at the end of the day, aren't teachers the best actors and actresses ever? I mean, come on, if you knew what I had to teach every day, I'm teaching Mary Had a Little Lamb and Hot Cross Buns. Do you really think I love that every day? But I love them. And it's no different than my wife. There are things that I will do that I don't really care about, but I love her so much, I'll take one for the team. And vice versa. Do they matter? The answer is yes. You wouldn't be watching this long if they didn't matter. So at this point, I need you to ask yourself this question. To what extent? Hey, we're all human. We're all just humanity on display. Don't put the pressure of perfection on yourself. But with each and every day, I need you to progress. I need you to progress. And that starts with when you open your eyes saying these 2 words, thank you. And do it with a smile. Because I promise you, no matter how bad of a mood you're in, if you smile, even if it's a fake one, if you put a good fake smile on and you say thank you, it changes the way the room looks. It changes the situation. It changes the relationship. It changes the situationship. And then don't just stop there. I need you to be sound. Mickey, you keep saying that. What does that mean? I'm glad you asked. SOUND. S stands for see yourself beyond yourself. Each and every day. I don't teach music because music is me. I teach children. And each and every day I keep my perspective, or at least I try to. I keep my perspective on what matters most, not on the noise. Because at the end of the day, I just told you, nothing of importance stops excellence. The excellence resides in them. The excellence resides in you. It resides in me. It resides in we. Keep your focus on something greater than yourself, and you'll always be able to keep on going. O stands for operate in optimism and excellence daily. Told you, teaching in and of itself. That's the greatest act of optimism there is. At the end of the day, somebody said, well, Mickey, yeah, there you go. You must be talking about that fake it till you make it stuff. Well, I mean, if that's what, hey, go for it. But that's like survival mode. I used to play tour with this lady, Gloria Gaynor. She wrote the song, I Will Survive, and people went bananas when we would play that. Like, she could sing a bunch of stuff and they clapped and they like, but when she sung that piece, boy, that joint hit bad. It was like, the party started, right? Because I think everybody can associate and identify with struggle. I think everybody knows what it feels like to literally just want to give up, to where, I just woke up this morning, I'm just surviving, and I don't know if I could. Everybody's been there. So I'm not saying this to diminish what you're going through. I just want you to know that you're not in it alone. And if you have to fake it till you make it in survival mode, then do that. But I think there's something greater. Somebody say, oh, there he goes. He's talking about faith it till you make it. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that in my book. Okay, you can faith it till you make it. But boy, if Lily Mae was here, she'd be mad at me right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get controversial. There's something greater than that. Yeah, look, there's something greater than faith it till you make it. Somebody said, man, Mickey, all right, we done. Don't hit that button. Don't mute. Because faith it till you make it is striving. You're striving towards something, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something better. I believe there's something called face it till you make it. Because my favorite book tells me that there's something in me that's greater than anything that can come against me. That tells me that I have a sound, I have a significance that is so incredible that even I failed to comprehend what I'm capable of. If you don't want to get that deep with me, then let me just put it a different way. If you're watching this and listening to me right now, you have successfully overcome 100% of the challenges in your life. Okay, I ain't a great math student, but I'm gonna just sit on that one for a second. If you're here right now, you have successfully overcome 100% of the challenges in your life. If that's not face it till you make it, I don't know what is. What am I trying to tell you? If you're here today, look back at what you've overcome and ask yourself this, if I did it before, can I do it again? Oh, I didn't want to see this stuff come back, but watch this. This situation is so much better than the first one because the first one was unknown. Have you ever went somewhere and you didn't have the GPS? How scary is that drive? You don't know if you're there. You're like, it takes forever. Have you ever been somewhere before and you go back again or you got the GPS and the trip goes quicker? We got the GPS. So in your classrooms, just lean on your GPS, your guidelines, your procedures, your systems that we've learned, that we've gained from this thing called COVID. Because some of us, I got to be honest, we're probably a little bit better teachers now because of this thing. We've probably got some tools in the toolbox that we didn't have before. I love telling college students that your career doesn't start when you get out of college. It starts with what you get out of college. And what we've gotten out of this school of hard knocks is something so incredible that we are now unprecedented teachers. But unprecedented times are not for the unpurposed. I need you to lean back on your purpose and understand that you are here for a purpose and on purpose. And that this thing called life is the class. And the world we live in is the classroom. So do me a favor. Understand that you are loved, you are valued, and you are wanted. And now more than ever, we just need you to keep on going so that you can make your classroom sound, your teaching epic, and ultimately your legacy significant. And if I could leave you today with anything, it's 3 words: keep on going. Those are the 3 words from a little boy who grew up in a forgotten community, but now stands on phenomenal stages because of sound adults in his life and because of this beautiful gift called education. So today, I want to encourage you to never give up, to don't quit, to keep on going, and let us be the sound to change the world, because your sound will do just that if you keep on going. I ain't got no fame or fortune to show, but God gave me a sound for the stage that I'm on. Daddy worked all day, so we always had a home. Mama showed us love so we'd never feel alone. That picture from my past creates a scene, so the children that I teach would know what life really means. We never had a ton of money, we always had enough. We always had exactly what we need. Oh, people told me that I should just leave music alone. They said you can't change this world with a saxophone. In those Louisiana woods, I was a one-man show. Never could imagine how far my life would go. Everybody's out here talking about this world is gone. Natural disaster is the path we're on. Meanwhile, I'm playing my song. It says serve, love, teach, and keep on going. Come on. Our sound will change this world if we keep on going. Yes, your sound can change this world if you keep on going. A new sound is on its way and it's here to stay. 100 years from now, you know they'll be talking about this day. How the past and the future spoke in harmony. Melody so sweet, it taught us all to see that pictures from my past create a scene. So the children that we teach would know what life really means. We never had a ton of money, but we always had enough. We always had exactly what we need. Oh, people told me that I should just leave music alone. They said you can't change this world with a saxophone. In those Louisiana woods, I was a one-man show. Never could imagine how far my life would go. See, everybody's out here talking about this world is gone. Natural disaster is the path we're on. Meanwhile, I'm playing my song. It says serve, love, teach, and keep on going. Come on. Our sound will change this world if we keep on going. Come on. And your sound can change this world if you keep on going. Come on now. Your sound can change this world if you keep on going. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Above everything, remember that you are loved, you're valued, and you're wanted. And these things that we see, just distractions. It's just the noise. Continue to be sound and let's continue to go out there and let's be the sound to change their world each and every day. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all that you do for our school system. More importantly, thank you for everything that you do for our students to make them college and career ready.
As you pour out your love and your heart to the students of the Tangipahoa Parish School System, it is very important that you pay attention to your own mental and emotional well-being. As a district, we want to support you. We will be implementing an employee assistance plan to provide counseling services free of charge to all of our employees. Additionally, we will provide social and emotional learning resources to our school leaders and to our teachers throughout the district.
Thank you for joining us today. And remember, we're committed to excellence. This year, we want to focus on wellness and your well-being. Be respectful, be compassionate, and most importantly, no matter what you do in the school system, be great at it. Thank you and have a great day.